It is Midweek Extra. We are with Order Frames. Huge thanks to them for partnering with us, and they've got your back for Mother's Day, because if, like you me, you've got flowers 5 years on a row and you'd like to be a little bit more creative for the woman who's given me everything and more, then Order Frames have got you covered. So they are responsible for these beautiful digital photo frames. If you're enjoying this as video, you can see in front of you. The best thing about them is you can upload unlimited number of photos. So we've put some stuff up here for us on our travels, but you can put some nice pictures up of you and your mum or whoever it is that you're buying it for, and you can keep adding to it any place, anytime. You just download the app. It's really easy. Even I could do it. Throw all the pictures on there and you can keep going as you go. It also comes in a lovely gift box, which is really nice. And for a limited time, you can save £35 off Order's best-selling carver matte frame. That was named the top frame by the Independent newspaper. So there we go. By using the promo code TAW at checkout. So make sure use that code TAW at checkout. It helps you out. It helps us out. And yeah, it'll help your mum out as well, and you out on Mother's Day. You'll look brilliant. Your siblings will be fuming with you that you've got something absolutely fantastic. So huge thanks to Order Frames for partnering with us again. And this is Midweek Extra. It is John Gibbons. I'm joined by James Sutton, by Kieran Molyneux, and by Joel Penny. You know what? I still have recurring dreams about the time I forgot your name on City Talk. It was that long ago. It was up the tower.
I'd forgiven you, but you've just reminded me that was some bullshit, man.
Do you know what it was? You know when your mind just goes blank and you're up there. It was that long.
I think you double checked then before you said it as well.
No, we were up the tower. It's still triggering.
I remember the panic in your eyes.
Yeah, and I just had to say, mate, I've just completely forgotten your name. He was on telly.
That's showbiz, though. Right?
1 minute, you're up there.
You're a no one.
And next minute, you got given for getting your name. It just went. You know, your head just goes completely blank, and I was just like.
At least it wasn't on radio. That would have been awful.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. But I do now. So now I think I just say it every day 5 times.
Well,
so
you dream about me.
Well,
days,
exactly.
John, so.
Have you seen his Instagram? Anyway. Enough about all that. In part 3 today, we're going to look ahead to West Ham at home, who are playing on Saturday at 3 o'clock. In part 2, we're going to do a little bit of reminiscing, because there was a couple of big League Cup finals that happened on this day yesterday. So we're going to do a little bit of that. Go back to lockdown. We did a lot of that in lockdown. There wasn't a lot of current football to talk about. So we're going to go a little bit back there. But we're going to start with Champions League. Keo, everyone's played who went into this extra round that Liverpool didn't have to bother with. It was interesting to see the teams who Liverpool might play. I was watching the Galatasaray-Juventus game last night, and obviously Liverpool got a 50-50 chance of getting one of those. Galatasaray went through, but I mean, might just about. Atletico supposed to go through their side. So it's all plotting out now for Liverpool. We know, well, the 2 teams who we might get when the draw comes out on Friday, but we also know a little bit about that as well. But also we've seen everyone now, so we know what chances Liverpool have got. And I think it is fair to say, even including the teams who didn't play this week, that there isn't an outstanding team out there this season. And it feels like it is opened up to pretty much anyone, and that includes Liverpool.
It's always open to Liverpool, the European Cup. I mean, you don't think you can win the European Cup, then you don't think you're a Liverpool fan. But I agree with you. There's not a standout team. It's a tough last 16 draw, though. I'll be honest with you. I mean, look at the other side of the draw. It's a little bit more, looks a little bit more favourable. But out the 2, I was saying to you before, who do you want? I think I want Galatasaray over Atletico Madrid. I know it's a really tough place to go. I know we've been there and had a nightmare already. But over 2 legs, and look at that Juve game last night. Juve put 3 past them at home and could have won it in the 95th minute with a 4th. I think they can leak goals, whereas a Simeone side, I just don't know whether that's what Liverpool need at the minute. But then, as you said there, we can sort of figure out roughly who we're going to get. I hope that Chelsea end up drawing Newcastle, so if we do get past the last 16, we'll face one of the English teams in the quarter-final. Otherwise, it'll end up being Barcelona or PSG, I think. So we want. I think it's Barcelona, PSG, Newcastle or Chelsea we'll likely face in the quarter-final. I'm looking at the English teams there, going to give one of them, and all of a sudden you find yourself in an Anfield semi-final with the flags out and the voices up, and we all know too well anything can happen from that point, and we are fully on the road to number 7 now, aren't we?
I mean, Keel put us on the road there, but I think a lot of teams will fancy it this season, not necessarily because they think they're flying, but looking around, traditional big teams, if you like, don't look as strong. And that includes Liverpool. Listen, we've had our problems this season, and that's probably, you know, given a few other teams hope as well. But yeah, it does feel like that there's not an obvious perfect team out there or even close to it this season.
No, I think PSG even look vulnerable. I mean, they didn't. I think this time last season they smashed whoever they had in the round of 16s. They're really starting to come together, but they look a bit more vulnerable now. I think they scraped through against Monaco, and I think they seem like the hardest team we could probably face on our side of the draw. I think one of the positives is that we're avoiding the big or the most threatening sort of English teams. I wouldn't really want to face City or Arsenal, especially City, the way, you know, our
they beat us home and away.
Exactly. So I think if they were to get to the final, we'd only sort of meet them there. So I think the side of the draw is not too bad. I think I'm pretty happy with how it's gone down. I think Galatasaray and Atleti, I'd expect us to beat them both. We've obviously beaten Atleti already earlier this season. In fact, I think it was one of our promising.
We played well.
We played really well, and Isaac and Vert and everyone. It all looked so great. Honestly,
great days.
Good times. So we get back to that.
That's still when we'd won every game, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
Halcyon days.
So yeah, but I think we've got a great opportunity. As I said, we would back ourselves in any two leg of the fair. I think having, you know, Anfield second leg, hopefully for some of the big ones, is always a big plus. And then, you know, that'll see us through to Budapest, and obviously with our Hungarian contingent, you know, it's written in the stars.
Well, apparently they're making nervous about it. You know, apparently if you get Dom Szoboszlai quiet when the cameras aren't on him, he's like, he knows that finals in Budapest. I'm sure. I mean, it's RIP is ticket request. That's what I'm saying. He's gonna have.
He's taking a contingent. Buses of them.
Teachers coming out.
Lads he hasn't seen since year 9.
Mate, to see you do well.
He changed to saw me in my half.
Yeah, someone's gonna have to borrow his phone for a week or something, haven't they? And just let him relax. You know, if we do get there, but it is an if. But like you say, with our pedigree in Europe, and to be fair, how we played in Europe, it's only really that PSV debacle which you know gladly feels like a long time away now. You know, aside from that, it was 6 wins against some pretty good teams like Atletico.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with what both the lads said. I think we've got a really good chance actually with either of the teams that we face. I think I'd rather play Athletic, to be honest. Given I think they've had a really successful time in their league. I mean, they're smashing teams away. But in the Champions League, they've kind of flattered to deceive a little bit. They haven't been on sparkling form. And there's a point around the way that teams play in the Champions League as well that I think suits Liverpool quite well. Teams are a little bit more defensive. They're a little bit more pragmatic. They want to sit back. They essentially don't want to concede a goal. Whereas it's very, very different in the Premier League. And I think that works in our favour, I think, which is why we've done remarkably well in the Champions League when you compare it to where we are in the Prem. So I think we're set up to do good things in this. If you see us get through the next round, I can see us getting to semi-finals, finals. I can see all that as something to hang the season on, because as well, you know, obviously we're going to be going for top 4, top 5. But a lot of that's going to be out of our hands, unfortunately, at this point. Whereas the Champions League, over 2 legs, if we get Anfield's second leg as well, I mean, nobody's going to want to face us. I mean, you mentioned a moment ago that, you know, teams will be looking at us perhaps and thinking this is a softer version of Liverpool. This is a version of Liverpool that we can get at. I don't believe that for a second. Actually, I think teams will be looking at us and thinking, well, the pedigree, the history, the Barcelona result a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? This is in people's heads. You know what I mean? This is a Liverpool side that you can never count us out, especially in this competition.
Yeah, the next round comes quite quickly, but if they can get through that, there's a little bit of a break. Obviously, there's the international break, and I'm just seeing as a chance to get maybe 1 or 2 back. I mean, obviously, we're not going to see Conor Bradley for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, Leone's the same, but I don't know. I think Isaac, I just feel like he's got a moment this season. I just feel like that there's something for him. Listen, apparently he's running again, you know, so he's not kicking a ball, so we're not going to see him, you know, anytime particularly soon. But, you know, we're going to do a bit of reminiscing in part 2. I'm old enough to remember Gibbons Cisse, you know, breaking a leg and then scoring a penalty. And I think Isaac's a better player than Cisse, and I think but also I don't think it feels to me like he'll be back a little bit earlier than maybe I'll just sort of get him out there for the final. And so if he's your wild card, it's not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all. I think he'll be looking at it as well, thinking, I want to get back for these later stages of the Champions League. Obviously, you want to get back as quick as you can anyway, but I think he'll want a moment as much as we want one for him. And I agree with what James just said there. Teams will be looking at Liverpool, and regardless of league form, I don't think anyone wants to go to Anfield, especially in a second leg. So, yeah, I feel like there's a big moment. The last 16 is probably, it's a tough one to get through, but if you get through that, I think the momentum begins then and people start dreaming. I mean, I'm already doing it. I've just said to myself, like I always, every single season, no matter how we're doing, I always think we'll win the European Cup, because that's just the competition I love most, and as I said, probably give us some of our best days and best nights. So
it's in our DNA.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm always feeling positive about the European Cup, but if you do get past Galatasaray, you do get past Atleti, you won't be scared of anyone. No. And I agree what you're saying. No one really wants to face Man City or Arsenal with two legs because they're decent sides. But if you meet them later in the competition, when the momentum's with Liverpool...
Some might knock them out as well.
Oh, some might knock them out. But if you do end up facing them later in the competition, I think we'll be going to go and we'll beat these. I don't think we'll be going into any game in the Champions League semi-final scared of anyone.
Both of those teams would hate coming to Anfield in the Champions League.
Well, we've had City in the Champions League before and turned them over, and it was...
We talk about as well our league form against City, but Arsenal will be looking at us and thinking, we haven't fucking scored against them yet this season, and so they'll be looking at it like that as well.
And it's difficult to compare the league to the Champions League, obviously, because with the league being an ongoing competition, we're fragile at the moment because we've got so many injuries. I mean, you only have to look at our bench at the moment. I mean, we are fucking threadbare. But we've got a lot of players to come back, which means that other players can play in their natural positions, which means if we do get to a semi-final or a final, you'd like to expect that we've got a much fuller squad, a much bigger pool to rely on, people playing in the right positions. That's a version of Liverpool that people don't want to play, not the version that is the walking wounded in the league right now.
Yeah, I think the crowd will step up when needed as well. I think at times it's been flat this season. That's partly been what's on the pitch, of course. That's partly been, listen, we could do a full show on problems with atmosphere and what it's caused by, but it's undoubtedly the case. But there have been at times this season where it's felt that Anfield's sort of very quiet. I do back us still to step up when it matters, and that'll be in those home games. And listen, it might be this round, it's whoever we get, you can't expect to just walk past them, so, the away one will be first and then we'll be home second. I think it's the case in the next round as well, isn't it? I think in the next two, because of our seeding and where we were, we get Anfield next. And so, regardless of the issues this season, and in terms of getting people in and people not being delighted with maybe what they're seeing on the pitch and all of that, I still think we'll step up when it matters.
Absolutely. I mean, any Liverpool fan, this is what we're all about. Under the lights, Champions League nights. Anyone who's had 5 minutes to support Liverpool will know that that's what we sort of live for. And I think there's no better way than... That's why I think Atletico could be a good kickstart, because it brings a bit of a name. And even if they're not...
There's a baddie in Simeone.
Exactly.
We love a baddie.
All get us all riled up. And then, we just have that sort of belief. I think one of the things why we are, dreaming and think, we could sort of get there, is that we've seen worse teams than this one win the Champions League. I mean, you look at that 2005 squad, you compare it to now, player to player, you'd have this one above. And I feel like we could, a bit of momentum, as you said, a big game, big Champions League, that's a whole narrative changes, and then you think, we're on the march here. And
I've just realised Simeone's even got beef with one of the lads on the front row, hasn't he? WWE style, like he's going to be looking, oh my God, where's that big fella? And you'll fucking spot him. We're really adding to it. Make sure, I nearly said his name there a moment, make sure you're not booked on holiday, is all I'm saying. He'll be 100% be at the game. Sorry, what were you going to say, mate? I was just thinking about the beef.
No, I agree what he's saying, 100% what Joel's saying there, because also I think we're after the moment, Liverpool, we're after something to celebrate. It's been not a bit of a tough season, it's been shite, you know what I mean? It's been a tough watch, there's been problems, as you say, with atmosphere getting in. I'm not going to go through them all again, but I think we're all dying for something to get excited for. And I think once that, I personally think once you get past the last 16, something will click in the heads of people and go, we can win this competition. And that's when Anfield will really, really lift. And I think everyone sat around this table is dying for something to get excited for. And the idea of going to a Champions League final in Budapest, by the way, which would be a great city to go to a European Cup final.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic...
Loads of open spaces.
Fantastic.
Joel's in the bats.
Big bats. But it will.
It's like that fucking Joel's exfoliated as fuck there.
It's very smooth.
Joel's glowing there.
Pass that scrub, lad. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's like it sort of feels like a proper European Cup final destination, and I'd absolutely love to get there. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with dreaming. No matter what you've seen with Liverpool, there'll be people watching it going, yeah, but we've been crap. How can you say you're going to win the European Cup? You've got to get that completely out your head. You've got to treat it as its own competition. And I'm also looking at the league and hoping that we've got a job to do in the league. We've got to find a bit of form to get back in the Champions League, and you know, there's a run of fixtures in front of us which we think we're going to get some decent results from. That should give us a bit of momentum going into these Champions League games as well. As you say, with that break, all of a sudden you'll find yourself hopefully sat in the Champions League places in the league, a couple of players back from injury and going 4 games away from the final here.
This season's salvageable. Because I think
it's more than salvageable. It's got a chance to be one of the best seasons in history in the European Cup.
Exactly, but a good Champions League run, and all of a sudden things look very, very different. And you're absolutely right, actually. We're all desperate for someone to just like the touch paper. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And just give us something to get excited about. And it's that I've mentioned it on the show before, you know, about the atmosphere at Anfield and that kind of chicken and egg situation. You know, is it the players that make us sing, or is it our you know, crowd support that makes them play better? I would argue it's the form on the pitch. You know, there's not a lot to get excited about. There's been a lot of boring things. But we've got players capable of big moments under the floodlights in a big competition. All it's going to take is a couple of wonderful moments, a couple of superstars to just step up and do something brilliant. Dom Szoboszlai to bang one in from 40 yards. Do you know what I mean?
He's like a superstar already, but he's getting better and better. And as you say, he'll be looking at that going, that is
desperate.
That is
100%.
And I've seen players like Gerrard carry Liverpool teams before, and as you say there,
he's capable.
The team we had in 2005 that Stevie carried, like the job that Szoboszlai's got, he hasn't got to carry that set of players. He's got some decent players around him, and obviously there's another Hungarian in the side as well, in Kirkes. He'll be absolutely dying to get to Budapest.
And there's players who've done it before as well. Let's not forget. You know, we're not a team of inexperienced youngsters here. There's players that have lifted this trophy. There's players that have gone really deep in this competition and lost and know what it feels, know what it feels like to get knocked out, know what it takes to give everything on the pitch and come away empty-handed. With players like Alisson Becker, players like Mo Salah,
you know, on the pitch with a "Don't Give Up" t-shirt.
100%. He'd be desperate to win this. We got players who it's fucking everything. Yeah.
And they're allowed to be bored. This is what they join. This is
100%. 100%.
All of them. You know, this is why they're meant. Even Isak. I mean, if we get Newcastle, he might be, you know, step up as Rio. But, you know, this is what it's all about, and you know, hopefully they can bring that. And you know, when they walk into Anfield under the lights and the crowd's up, they'll think, yeah, I've arrived, and hopefully they can on the pitch as well. Yeah.
I thought the only thing that was going to deflate your enthusiasm was the talk of the bus yesterday. So we all went out for lunch as a team yesterday, and our head of operations is always desperate to put us on a bus. So she was like, should we get the bus again for Budapest?
I was just staring across the table, like, and there's no way I'm doing that back bus. Like, there's no way. Wading through cans.
the Kiev, it will never be as bad as the Kiev one.
Say the sentence over and over, a bus to Kiev.
The Madrid one wasn't as bad. Like
the bus to town's too long.
Is she on the bus as well?
Oh no,
no chance. Oh, well, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
she's booking a bus that she's not on.
No, she just wants to get us on a bus.
She should be removed from the conversation. I'm sorry.
She disagrees.
And she's head of operations. So she's got a choice.
She very much disagrees. She loves putting us on a bus.
There's these things that exist. It's like a bus, but it's got wings. It's well quicker.
A couple of League Cup finals that happened on this day yesterday. 2 years since 2025, when Virgil van Dijk and Klopp and a load of kids won the Carabao Cup. 24, thank you, Keo. And then 25 years, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, and since Liverpool beat Birmingham on penalties to clinch the first of what was to become a fun cup treble. Really good memories of both. James, in sort of different ways. The first one just reminds me of I think first the many trips to Cardiff, I think that was the first one, and just loving that city, loving that stadium, and loving Liverpool's record there, which was pretty fantastic. And then a couple of years that I noticed on our social, we shared a few videos, talking about it, and it was one of my favourite days under Jürgen, and that's some competition. Agreed. Because fucking hell, we had some brilliant ones, but just the way they won that final and everything about it, I think just really summed up what a Jürgen Klopp Liverpool team was about.
Yeah, it was one of the pinnacles out of many pinnacles of that regime and that period of our lives. It was an incredible day. I mean, it's the sort of day that I feel like only happens to us in finals, and I'm sure there are other clubs who feel the same. But to have that squad against a fairly decent Chelsea side, I mean, they were, but there were some players on that pitch. For them to put in an effort like that, players, I mean, fucking hell, players who barely kicked a ball for us, to be put in that environment and to put on that performance was, it was magic. I can remember so vividly when that goal went in, just looking round and everybody was going bananas. It was crazy. It was bedlam, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Flares and everything.
Flares, everything. It was just that release of like, this is destined. It's exactly what being a Liverpool fan is all about. Against adversity, bit of an underdog. No one had us in their right minds winning that game as soon as they saw the team sheet. And yet, one more time, Liverpool do it. Really, really special final. And the Cardiff one, I didn't actually go to that game, although I was living in Cardiff. I watched it in a pub down the road because I didn't have a ticket. So I was part of the celebrations afterwards, which was amazing. I mean, Cardiff is one of my favourite cities. I spent 3 years there at university, and they're great. They're great. The South Walian lads. They love a bevy. I can forego their love of rugby. It's okay. I can forgive them that. But it's an amazing stadium for a final. The pubs are amazing. The atmosphere is great. It's a good city to hold a final. Much better than Wembley. And I remember us winning it and walking out the pub and seeing everyone filter down the steps outside Cardiff, and it just went off. And you were like, oh yeah, this is. And I probably. Had I been to a big? I don't think I'd been to a big Liverpool game at that point. I don't think I had. I think that was my sort of first near experience of a big result, and my God, that was it for me. I was like, I got to get to every final from now on.
On the one a couple of years ago, first, Keo, James made the point there that you feel like it only happens to us, the way we win them, and I agree with him in that it felt all of us in the stadium just decided Liverpool were winning. And there's a point in extra time where it just clicks and then it goes, now we're just going to win this. Don't care what they want. Don't care how good their players are, how good the team are, who's on the pitch for Liverpool, who's in no shit. We're just winning this. And we just sort of decided it was happening. And Virgil went, sound, I'm with you. I've decided it's happening as well. And between us, Virgil van Dijk, and a scratch team, some of you have left. Plenty of them have left since, but they always had that day. But it was just this collective will that I think does make us unique.
100%, but I want to be honest, I felt like it was going to be a bridge too far. Up until very late on, when it got really late, I thought, yeah, this is going to happen. But it didn't feel like it was one of them for me. I thought we are going to end up getting beat here because we players going off injured. I was sort of waiting for the disappointment up until late on in extra time. And I think that's part of the reason why I went so mad, because you was looking at the players coming on and you're going, this is tough, this. And you can see it when Van Dijk scores. I watched the clip yesterday, and he's actually emotional.
Yeah.
Like when the players are around him, he covers his face.
He
like
just
that.
falls over.
He falls over, and then he gets up, and everyone's looking at him. But he like sort of covers his face, just like he can't believe it. And look, I'm not saying that he didn't think he was going to win. Obviously, he did. He wouldn't have rose for the header and put it in the back of the net. That's why he done it. But I do think there was an element of it where even for Liverpool, that was a mad one. And the way Klopp speaks about it as well, he talks about it being one of his favourites, and the reason for that will be, even though we've had massive results, massive late winners, come from behind before, we've not done it with a set of players like that. Like, the set of players on the pitch should not have won that game, you know what I mean, at all. Yeah. And they did, and it was a final, and they won a cup. I know, and that's the mad part about it. People say, oh, it's just the League Cup. A lot of people talk about the League Cup like it's just the League Cup. Nah. And for me, any trophy is a trophy, and you celebrate them all. But it is fair to say winning the European Cup is right up there. But we talk about that final as one of the best finals we've ever been to. And we've been to European Cup finals, we've won FA Cups, we've won league titles, and that stands next to them all because of the way we done it. And as you said there, that end was just absolute bedlam. Like, it was crazy. There was like people falling over each other. There was that, like, I can't believe this. We've done it. And because it happened so late, I think it was the 118th minute.
Yeah.
Do you remember the players celebrating as well afterwards?
Yeah.
I think it was on the floor.
The players were going. The players were absolutely ecstatic. Yeah. You never seen a reaction like that because they're so young and they go.
The one with all the injured players ran onto the pitch.
That's right.
Another 2 weeks.
It meant as much to them as it did to the youngsters to go, right, now you're a Liverpool player. Now you understand what it means. Yeah. Now you understand what you're capable of.
As John said there, like, a lot of them have moved on, and like some of them might end up never playing at that level again, but they'll, in their house, they'll have a big picture of them getting hugged by Jürgen and a cup winning medal for Liverpool.
That'll do.
Unbelievable. And you remember the one kiss at the end as well?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, the team who goes out, it's a good back four. Canate, Van Dijk, Robertson and Bradley plays right back. And then the midfield is McAllister, Endo and Gravenberch. And then up front, it's Diaz, Gakpo and Elliott. So it's quite a thrown together team, you know, anyway. You know, I guess Salah must have been injured. I know Nunez was injured because he sort of takes off. But
the team that finishes the game.
Yeah, but then you say it's still quite a young team, but then Gravenberch, who goes off after 28 minutes and Joe Gomez comes on. So Joe must have played centre mid. Then or did we move Bradley into midfield? Didn't we? But then Bradley had to go off, so Bobby Clark comes on 72. So Bradley went into midfield, that's right, and Gomez went right back, but then Bradley himself goes off injured. So Bobby Clark has to come on 72. Then McAllister can't do any more on 87, so James McConnell comes on. Robbo for Costas, you think fair enough. Gakpo's done on 87, so Jayden Danns comes on, and then Canate for Quanta in extra time as well. And they're bringing on guys who cost 100 million quid, and you're like, it's just crazy to think that they did it, but they did.
Yeah, and that was the boldness and brilliance of Klopp, really. You know, I remember as he's keep on going through these substitutes, you're like, God, you're killing us here. But obviously he's got, I think at that time we're in somewhat of a title race, if I can remember rightly.
Also, some of them players who started hadn't been long back from injury and stuff like that. They didn't have 90 in them.
But obviously, with the way Klopp is, he obviously give ultimate belief to the players that came on, and they don't. I mean, what a job that they done. I mean, I remember they were dominant as well. I think Kelleher made a few good saves from Chelsea, but most of them felt, from what I can remember, felt sort of more counter-attacking rather than them being really dominant. Obviously, you got the big line from Gary Neville at the time called, what was it, the £1 billion bottle jobs or something like that.
I'd forgotten about that.
It was just, the old day was just amazing, really. I mean, I remember when, you know, that Virgil header goes in, it almost felt like sort of celebrate in slow motion, and then as it just trickles over the line, the celebrations were off the scale. And yeah, amazing. I think for most people, as we've already said, it's one of the best days we've had. And I think, you know, it doesn't really matter what the trophy is, the whole context around it gives you a certain feeling, and that feeling saw us all go off our heads and absolutely love it.
It was the fact that we knew Jürgen was leaving as well.
Yeah, we definitely had one trophy this last year.
We knew at that point that, like, he was going, and that's why obviously every single game meant so much, and we were going for more than the League Cup, but once we won that trophy, we all knew that we were leaving with a trophy. He was leaving with a medal. He made players, like not average players, he made players so tall, and I can't imagine what it was like to play for them. But being one of them kids there coming on,
Jayden Danns, and you've got Virgil, and you've got Jurgen Klopp stood next to you going, this is fine. You are absolutely, you are worthy of being on that pitch. Now go and fucking win it. You can't buy that. That's unbelievable.
What a day.
Just a little bit more on 2001 then. I don't know what your memories of like of Akio. You'd have been sort of very young, but it did feel a big one at the time because, you know, Houllier come in. It was a change. Having a foreign manager it doesn't feel big now, but at the time it was sort of a big thing. He obviously played up to the fact that he'd lived in the city, taught in the city, so, you know, I'm one of yous, really. But there were certain ex-pros who weren't keen on it. He'd obviously been seen to be pushing Roy Evans out, so a few of the old guard weren't sure about it. He went up against Paul Ince early, and Paul Ince said, oh, he's going to drag the club down and stuff like that. And so he'd had more battles than what you think, Houllier, but he believed in himself, he believed in what he was doing, he believed in that squad. But you've got to win. It's Liverpool Football Club, you know, it's not just putting them on the right path, it's you've got to win. That trophy felt massive, and I don't think the other ones would have come if that one ends.
It doesn't. I don't know where Liverpool end up without Gerard Houllier, and I say this all the time. I was very young and I can't really remember the ins and outs of the things you talk about at the time, but I definitely know what happened, and I've read and watched what happened around that time. And for me as a kid, I talk about this in the live show and make a joke of it, but I was rubbed on the head a lot as a kid and told, before you were born, Liverpool won everything. Liverpool, if you didn't win the league, they'd win the cups, and it was trophy after trophy after trophy. And I went through the 90s like, why isn't it happening? Like,
join the club.
You know what I mean? and that was the moment where people rubbing me head saying, we're back. This is it. This is what it means to be Liverpool. And it was the first of a treble, like a treble. And I remember the homecoming. That's my major memory of that season, was the homecoming. And I remember being on County Road and the bus coming past with 3 trophies on. And I remember vividly seeing Gary McAllister. That's the sort of the image I've got in my head. But I completely agree. I don't think without 2001, you don't get 2005. You just don't. It brought Liverpool back to winning ways. I'm not sure about the mentality of fans at the time, but I'm assuming that it gave fans belief that Liverpool can win again, and we're just as good as anybody else. And I say this all the time. Like the Gerard Houllier, I don't think gets talked about enough. I know he didn't win a league title. I know it wasn't a European Cup, but to win three major trophies, and then it ends up being 5 trophies with the Super Cup and the Community Shield, 5 trophies in 12 months. To go through a period and not winning trophies, I say as a kid, I'm wondering, like, where are these leagues, where are these cups, like you tell me about, and all of a sudden there's 5 of them just come through the door in 12 months, and all of a sudden we're Liverpool again. Yeah,
that was the first time in my life supporting Liverpool, well, my conscious life. So I was born in 82, so, you know, the 80s, I can remember a little bit, but then I really, you know, grew up from a footballing sense in the 90s. I got my season ticket in 92 when I was 10, and so throughout that period, there was times where we felt close, and we weren't a bad team, but you just never really fancied us to get it over the line, whereas that 2001 team was the first time I thought we can beat anyone here, because they beat all those teams on the way to win the UEFA Cup, a really good Roma team, Barcelona, of course. But then, you know, going into the next season, into the Champions League as well, that was the first time where I thought, you know, we could bring on anyone we want.
We were desperate for any kind of success, like Kieran was saying. We were desperate for it. My 90s were awful. I had loads of Man United fans at my school, and it was, I mean, we didn't live anywhere near Liverpool, and it was just bleak. They used to wear that sharp top all the fucking time. Like, give it a rest, you know what I mean? So to have a season like that and to lift trophies of that calibre in that manner was huge. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It did kind of start the ball rolling a little bit, and then, you know, obviously, you know, you move into the Rafa era, and we become incredibly hard to beat in Europe, and we become this team that people don't want to face us in Europe. None of that's possible without that season, without those trophies. Really, really special. And the game itself in Cardiff, I mean, wow, what a performance from the captain. Just unbelievable. Those type of performances. He got a final named after him, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? This is really special.
It is funny that the League Cup one's a bigger bet to that, though, because it's an example of how Liverpool will make any final hard. Like whoever we play, we can play the best team in the world in AC Milan, and it'll be like a 3-0 penalties, or we can play Birmingham, who were a championship team, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be 1-0 penalties. Like, Fowler scored a worldie.
Gallagher's pen, by the way, I remember that.
Yeah,
Gallagher's pen was great.
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. Takes an unbelievable penalty, yeah. But was it Haman missed, didn't he? I think it was.
I think Gary Mack gets the one that wins the cup.
I think it's Haman who misses, and then there's a Scouse misses for them. But But it is just a reminder, whenever we were in finals and you're like, oh, what's the score going to be? Oh, 3-0. you never, honestly, the Liverpool could play against the Anfield Wrap and it goes to pens.
Cardiff in 2012.
That one's about now as well. That was, so it's just a reminder that for all of us, if we do get to finals this season, put your money on extra time and maybe even pens.
Well, I imagine there was a bit of tension as well. I mean, we've been talking about how long it was since the won a trophy, and this would have been the first opportunity. So, I'll be honest, I've not got much recollection of the game. I think I was similar to Kieran though. My first probably Liverpool memory is the parade. I remember being on Alton Road when it was coming down, with obviously all the trophies. But the game itself, I'm struggling a bit, if I'm going to be honest.
That must have been amazing as a young boy, though, to see that on Allerton Road, man. That must have been incredible.
And then we had the Champions League not long after. So I mean, I think at the time I was 10, I was like, all right, being a Liverpool fan.
He's all Molyneux.
What were the 90s?
You say that though, but it's true. I reckon when my lad's older, only asking for early memories, like I think he'll remember the parades more than like the games I've been taking him to and stuff like that, because he's just been to like, standard league games in Accrington and the FA Cup so far and stuff like that, so he probably won't even remember like what his first game was, but he'll remember them parades, like, because you could just see like it's just like wide-eyed, and they are incredible for young, for old, for those of us who are in the middle, and for everyone really. At like, that treble season was a great parade. I remember, they called it the treble decker bus, I think it was, sort of going round with all the trophies on and things like that. And there's some great images going down sort of Queen's Drive on that, and that's what really brings not just the city together, but anyone who wants to come to the city, really, because there's only so many people who can get into those finals. I mean, you were literally in Cardiff and
I couldn't even get in.
You couldn't even get in, but anyone can come to a parade, and that's what makes them great.
Yeah, it's what we do. It's what that's what it's all about. It's all about those times and those memories, because they're so rare. There's so many football fans out there who've never experienced that. Big clubs who've grown up not knowing what that's like. You think of, Villa fans, for example.
Newcastle when they done it, like it was the biggest day of their life.
100%.
It only went 300 metres.
But that's it. When Spurs lifted their European Cup the other year, do you know what I mean? It means a little bit more. It's really special. It's iconic. And it's what this club is built on. It's the foundation of everything.
The players too. The players must like look at it and go, "Wow, I knew we were big, and I knew we had a lot of fans, but look at there's 1 million people on the streets who've come to see us and this trophy."
Joe, they all feel like big games now. It does feel like a bit of a run in early. What I like about this one is that we play first, and so we're a home game on the Saturday. If they can get 3 points, and listen, there's no given watching us so far this season, but if they can, it puts a bit of pressure on, and then you think of Chelsea in particular, who go away to Arsenal on the Sunday. It does feel like it's a little bit of an opportunity to make that league table look a little bit better this weekend.
100%. I think from now up until about mid-April is probably the easiest type of run you're going to have in the Premier League, and West Ham at home is definitely one where we should be getting 3 points, but I do think we need to be wary. I mean, you've definitely had an uptick in form since the new year. We've got two new signings, got a big unit up front now, and I think Bowen and Somerville have had a few goals recently.
Somerville's playing well, isn't he?
Yeah. And our big scares were both Chelsea and United in their games against them. Chelsea were really lucky. I think they got like a last-minute winner.
Yeah, I watched that before, because that was before our game, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then United similarly got a last-minute equaliser this time. So they have caused problems, and we need to be wary of that. But I think, I like to think with the form of the defence, I think, Konate will relish a big battle against unit up front, as I've said, and I think we should have enough quality at home to sort of take the game away. What I'd love is an early goal.
Remember them?
Yeah, I know. I think I saw somewhere that we scored 1 goal before 40 minutes since Everton, which would have been that one Ekatike scored in the first minute. So that would be nice. If you get an early goal and sort of take the game away from them, I think it would be nice to go into the second half, be able to take some players off and rest. But unfortunately, it hasn't been as easy as that this season. I think we're going to go up against a team fighting for their lives, and they'll be doing everything they can to obviously get a result at Anfield. So we've just got to sort of match them and hopefully get the 3 points.
Yeah, you feel like a week off should help in terms of freshness, working on stuff, but then the other week off before Forest and they were fucking crap. So who knows?
Took the words out my mouth. I mean, I joked after the Forest game on a show that it doesn't matter as long as you get the win. And there's an element of that's true, but there's also an element of you can't play like that again.
No, you can't keep playing like that.
You can't keep playing like that because what will happen is we'll end up finishing outside the Champions League places. I want a result more than anything, but I want to see a performance, and also based on how bad that first half was against Forest, I want to see Liverpool come out and put a decent first half performance in. An early goal would be great, but a decent first half performance, please, because let's say West Ham and overly chase. It's a game in Anfield, we definitely should be winning, but the Wolves would be circling again if we don't get a result and if we don't put in a performance. I don't fancy leaving it to disallow goals in the 96th minute. I want the job done by half time, please, Liverpool, so I can go and have a bottle of lager and say, this is all right today, isn't it?
Yeah, they have been playing better, but just have a look at the table. They're still 18th. Yeah. So you played against a team who were 18th in the Premier League.
I know, but...
I know,
I know you know, but...
I know you know.
I know that you know.
Who fucking knows what's going to happen? On paper, I agree with everything Joel just said. You know what I mean? We're going to take this game really, really seriously. First of all, as you have to when you're in a position like we are. But I just want to see us start playing with a bit of freedom and a little bit of confidence and a little bit of just some verve and some passion and some enthusiasm. Because one of the biggest things I think I've levelled at the team performances this season at Anfield when I've been is it's just been really boring. And that's just not like us. And we've got so many players capable of so many great moments. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's the fact that players are being played out of position. But this is a game on paper that you'd think, right, come on. Everyone knows how shit we were first half at the weekend. Everyone knows. It's all over the papers. The players know. The manager knows. Put that to bed now, but you've got to come out and start building some momentum.
I was about to say the word momentum. We talked about the Champions League and how we need to find some form, and we're going to do well in that. Let's look at the FA Cup as well. We're going to have to find some rhythm soon, and this is a perfect opportunity
100%.
to go like we won last week. Let's win this week as well.
Yeah, but let's win with some style. Let's do something. Let's show a really good version of ourselves at home in front of our fans. It's an early kick-off. It's not a good West Ham side, despite finding a bit of form and scoring a few goals. It's not a good side. This is a team that you should be beating, and you should be beating comfortably. But as I go back to what I said, you just never know with us at the moment. We follow a really good performance with just abject horror, and you just don't know what's going to happen, and you also don't know from a psychological standpoint. If we do concede a goal or we don't score by half-time, what that's doing to the players' minds, because they're thinking, fuck it, not again. We can't go through this again. Do you know what I mean? And it starts to become, you overthink it. You start fighting against the tide instead of just playing with freedom and confidence and pizzazz and giving a good version of yourselves. That's what I really want.
In terms of team selection, Joel, this is before the press conference, so we'll be doing shows for our subscribers tomorrow after the press conference, and in that I would guess one of the first questions will be how's Florian Wirtz doing, because he's such a key player for us now. The team's almost ended up being built around him, which I think is the right thing. He's our best footballer at the moment, and so, but he dropped out late and we looked a little bit lost early in that first half before they were able to regroup a little bit. You'd love him fit for this one, so it's fingers crossed, isn't it? The first question I'm sure the video asking will be about Florian Wirtz. Well, I hope so. Unless there's something big on, we'll have it on Sky this weekend. Do you think he'll win in the big fight? We love them, but we're all hoping that we get the thumbs up that Florian Wirtz is ready to go, because for the kind of performance that James is talking about there, he's key to it.
Absolutely. All fingers crossed for his fitness. I think we've been building attacks around him. We look significantly worse, in terms of the attacking unit on
it didn't help that I think Curtis Jones had a massive lunch. He's like, I'm not playing. Honestly, he was like, I'll be all right. They'll bring me on about 70. It'll all be good for me by then. And then he's like, shit. So that didn't help.
No, I mean, he must have lost the ball about 3 times within 5 minutes. It was insane. The other question will be Rio as well. I think, will he start or won't he? I think the problem is that I'm starting to think, let's start him. Gakpo's not good enough. But then I think well, if we've not, if the game's not dead and buried, if we're not 2-3-0 up by the 60th minute, if I'm looking at the bench, I'd rather bring Rio on than I would Gakpo. So it's like, where do you sort of land on it? And then also Gomez as well, I think. I'd get him starting. I know there's always a risk with, how long is it until his next injury? So there is all that worry, and obviously I don't know the sports science around it, but I'd quite like to just have a defender in defence. Yeah.
and a fit Gomez is...
He's been brilliant.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a strange place that Gomez occupies
not playing football
these
in case
days.
they get injured. I just don't like... I understand that he's also an option off the bench, and if he has only... The sports science says he's got 20 minutes or 40 minutes in before he hits red zones and this type of stuff, that may all be going on behind the scenes. But if he can play...
Play him because he's experienced and he's good. He hasn't played this season. I've thought, fucking hell, Joe. Every time he's played, I've thought, yeah, this is the player that we need.
I think the manager will be asked questions about Rio in that press conference. After that, I think that'll be the first thing that he does get asked, because Carragher was quite vocal about it on Sky in the coverage straight after the game. This kid needs more opportunities. I think everyone sat around this table and everyone watching this wants to see more of Rio in Gamoa, but like I said on the show the other day, we have got to be a little bit careful around playing kids and overplaying kids, and whether he can do a full game or whether it's not advisable. If he can, like there's an argument to play him for the half and see what he can do there, but we do need changes off the bench. We're short. We need, if Rio and Gamoa can come on and play against tired legs, then things will happen as we've seen at the weekend.
When Rio's featured this season, when he's come on for those last 10 minutes or 15 or whatever it's been, it's felt like his attitude has kind of filtered through the team a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you feel me on that? Like it's
there's an energy around.
There's a direct energy, and that there might be some childish naivety in that. But at the moment, we seem so rigid and so sort of stuck in our ways sometimes, especially when teams sit back. We've talked about the low block, but sometimes all it takes is a player like that who just thinks, I don't give a shit. I'm going to run at you. I'm going to do step overs. I'm going to make something happen. And all of a sudden, the rest of the players are thinking, well, yeah, absolutely, we can. Let's be part of that. Let's
Radiates, doesn't it?
100%. So I think there is an argument to start him, actually. I really do, and see what happes. You know what I mean? A little bit of enthusiasm.
Do you know what? I'm fine with him on the bench. I just want to see him. And so for me, my frustration all season really with Rio and Gamoa has not been that he's on the bench. It's just like, certain games he's just not used him at all. And then it's like...
When he comes on too late.
Yeah, bring him on 87 or something.
Bring him on 70.
And you're like, I think he will go Gakpo, Ekitike and Salah, and I understand that, but instead of bringing him on 85, let's see him on 65. If it's not working, then just give him a little bit of time. I felt like, I've just had a little look there. He comes on 77 against Forest now. If you think about, that doesn't feel like ages, but with the stoppage time, that's 20 minutes, really, isn't it? I think we end up scoring on 90+7 or something like that.
And he makes an impact.
Yeah, so 20 minutes, I think. And what I think's made a big deal as well is they've dropped him back to the 21s just to give him some minutes. He scored a worldie a couple of weeks ago because for a while I was just like, this kid's not playing here at all. I've got his numbers up here, between Forest at home where we lose 3-0 in November, and then Leeds on New Year's Day, he doesn't get on. So it's 7 league games in a row where he doesn't even come on.
Is he on the bench for those?
Yeah, he's on the bench.
He hasn't featured that much in the Cup. So
yeah, well, in Champions League he's barely played. I think he's only featured in
Carabao, didn't he?
Carabao, yeah, but I think that's his only second time in the Champions League he's come on. So he's barely featured on that. So you think about, that's a big chunk where he just wasn't coming on at all, and that's where I've got frustrated really, is that these games. So Leeds, he comes on 84, and that Leeds game was awful. Yeah. You're not telling me that seeing Rio on 64 instead of 84 man made that game better, because we were fucking terrible. And then there's other ones where he's just not getting on at all. What was the other one I was sort of looking at? Burnley at home, he comes on 78, and you think just. So for me, for Rio, it's like, just give him a bit longer, let him get into the game, and as you say, if he's raising everyone else as well, then brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. and right now, with our squad the way it is, we haven't got many players who can come on and change things and make a difference and have an impact. We haven't. You look at the bench, you've got players like Chiesa. I mean, come on, do me a favour. You know what I mean? You're bringing slower players on. You want to bring enthusiasm, verve, pace, confidence. Those are the sort of players that you want to bring on, or give more minutes to. It's a no-brainer. If he doesn't, if Slot doesn't bring him on at a decent minute or start him, he's bringing the spotlight on himself.
He makes a comment in January though around the fact that they keep Rhea off the training pitch 2 days a week because of what they looked at Jayden Dans and believed that he was overtrained and overplayed for the younger sides, and it caused stress fractures. Where there's been a real, care taken around Rio and wrapped him in a lot of cotton wool to prevent anything like that happening, because the gap between 16 and 18 is huge, and it won't be long before he is 18, and at that point you can say he's fully developed, etc., etc. But there's a balance here somewhere. There's like, he can play football and he can play minutes. I understand that he mightn't be able to play X amount of Premier League minutes because of what the sports science saying. But you can't tell me that 80, as you used the example here, the Leeds game, that was dead. Yeah, it's absolutely dead.
Do you think they've overprotected him?
Well, again, I don't know the sports science behind it. And we've talked on other shows about what happened to Michael Owen, and we've seen other players before that were thrown in as wonder kids, and by 25 they're toast.
I say you won't know until he's 27, 28. You can look back in his career and how it went.
And now we probably know more around how that happens, and there's probably more data and more science behind it. So there will be an element of that, but I also do think there's been an element of Slot not wanting to put a 17-year-old kid in because he wants to use experienced players, and I think there's a balance here where he probably has to take a little bit more risk with the substitutions and use them a little bit more, especially now. Like I say, the difference between now and 6 months ago is going to be huge in terms of development. The difference between now and 12 months ago will be huge, and in 6 months' time again, a lot can change to a 17-year-old body in that time. But again, footballers are footballers, and Rio's saying himself he's ready to play. So let's see what happens. I do think now that after what happened at the weekend, I mean, we all thought this after Newcastle. He impressed in pre-season, and when he scored the goal in Newcastle, they've got a wonder kid in hand. I'm going to see him all season. They've obviously gone, well, let's just hold your horses a little bit. But now, after he's come on and, as Carragher said, done more than Gakpo and Salah done in 20 minutes. You'll be asked questions in the press conference about it. There'll be people that want him to start, expecting to see more of him. And if it is flat at the weekend, touch wood, it's not. Hopefully we're 3-0 up by the time he comes on, which is when he should be playing, by the way. Like, a 17-year-old should be coming on when Liverpool are 2-0 up. 17-year-old shouldn't be the answer to our problems from the left wing when you've got Gakpo, who's been here for how many years, and we've got Salah there with so much experience. We should be looking at him and going, he needs to start. Should be coming on when we're 2-0 up and enjoying his football and getting experience. He's still at that stage, but there's a scale here, and I think we maybe have wrapped him up in a little bit too much of cotton wool, and hopefully we do get to see more of him. Yeah, hopefully. In terms of the other positions, it's more or less picks itself. James mentioned about the injuries before, Joe. We are where we are, and players are, need to just sort of keep going for us. Obviously, there's a bit at left back, but you'd all imagine he'd pick Kerkez, especially with a week off. Kerkez has been his guy certainly in the Premier League, the centre half, so they're going to have to go again, and sort of similar in midfield really. But hopefully McAllister getting that late goal will give him a little bit of something, because he's had an up and down year, but he's had that big moment against, in the last game against Forest. Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe gives him a bit more confidence, because he hasn't looked quite right so far. Yeah, I think McAllister's the only one. I think, funnily enough, his best game was probably Sunderland. Was it Sunderland? Or it was when we had sort of run of 3 anyway. So maybe he just needs the sort of rhythm. Yeah. But I think obviously the only question between him and Jones, but then, as we've already said, Jones wasn't that great either. But otherwise, I think what's promising is that, there's a bit of form throughout the team. It's not just Szoboszlai. So there's Konate there. Konate's playing really well. Yeah, really good. I think it'd be nice Ekitike to step it back up. I mean, I'm not going to get back too much, because, but he hasn't scored, and I think he's been a little off it. I don't know if there's something between him and Gakpo trying to get into the same spaces all the time, but would like to see him get a goal again. But as you said, I think that the team basically picks itself. But we should have more than enough to be beating this West Ham team, whoever we play. Yeah.
listen, hopefully it all goes well on Saturday. Either way, we'll be doing our post-match reaction straight from the Glenbrook a stone's throw away from Anfield after the game. So audio and video, that's going to be available for all you subscribers out there. Tomorrow, straight after the press conference, we'll be doing a pre-match warm-up with Ian Ryan and all the team there, letting you know about how he said Florian Wirtz is fine, he's going to play on Saturday, everything's warm and rosy. Isak's back in the week after as well. No, that'll be a little bit too much to ask for. But the guys will be straight after that as well. And we got the Friday night, which is from Beer Keller, I think tomorrow to enjoy that on YouTube, so you can enjoy that for free if this is where you're enjoying that too. So loads to look forward to on the Anfield Wrap. We'd love you to have you on board, download the app, get stuck in, and hopefully the Reds do the same and get stuck in to the Hammers on Saturday. Thanks a lot to my guests. Thanks a lot to Jordan and to Andy for making everything happen behind the scenes. And thanks to you for enjoying it, and all the frames, of course, up the Reds.